Hey YouTube, Sarah here with Crimson Wool. I am so excited to finally have another tutorial available for you guys. And this tutorial will have a pattern available. You could find that in my Etsy shop. There is a link to that in the description box below. And that will have all the information you need to be able to make this cute bunny. This bunny is so versatile. There are so many things we can do with it. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and teach you how to make this basic bunny. Let's go ahead and get started. So some basic supplies you will need to crochet this bunny is, of course, you're going to need a 4mm crochet hook. You're going to need some scissors, a tapestry needle, some 12mm safety eyes, some polyfill, and the two yarns that I used was Karen 1-pound yarn in the color Dove. And then for the nose, I used, I believe it's called Rosy Cheeks. This is I Love This Yarn by Hobby Lobby. So those are the basic things that you'll need to make this pattern. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on the legs. You're going to make two, starting with a magic circle. You are going to work 6 single crochets into the magic circle. Round 2, we are going to work 2 single crochets, then an increase. So I'm going to work my first single crochet, then the second, and then I'm going to do an increase. And you're going to repeat that one more time. 2 single crochets and an increase. And that will give you a total of 8 single crochets for round 2. At this point, I like to fasten off, make 2 knots really tight. So for rounds 3 through 15 will be 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So that's a total of 8 stitches. And we're just going to work that up. As I'm working, I'll show you what I like to do. So let me finish up this round. I like to take the, as you can tell, this is the inside. So this is the wrong side. I want to push that in. So I'm going to push that over my finger like that. And then that will help me continue to work in the rounds a little bit easier. So I like to kind of cut my finger on there like that and then just continue working. So I'm about 12 rows in or rounds in, and it might be easier for you to stuff the leg as you go, because depending on what tools you use. So you could go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what I do. I just kind of take a little bit of stuffing and push it in there. Make sure that it doesn't get misshaped. Take a little bit more and then push some of that in there. And there we go. So I don't want to stuff too much towards the top because I'm going to continue working, but I just kind of wanted to show you how I do that. All right, so I'm at the end of round 15, and you're going to want to cut your yarn and fasten off. And so what I like to do is I just leave just about 5 inches or so. You don't need a lot. And then I like to take my yarn as if I'm working that last stitch, and then I basically have it cut off and I pull it through. And so what I'm doing this for is it's going to kind of help make the join not so tight, so when we work then we can actually work into that stitch. So I know this might be confusing to begin with, but just follow me. So now what I do is I take my hook and I'm going to bring that yarn through and pull and just push that into the leg. And so what I'm talking about here is that normally if you do a slip stitch, then you kind of take away a stitch, which makes it difficult to work in, and then it also can make it look holy when you're working in the rounds to add the body. So now we actually have a stitch here, and then we also have a stitch here, and that is how I like to do it. If that's too confusing, honestly, you can just work your slip stitch as normal to fasten off, however you see works well for you. So I have my first leg, and then we have our second leg here. So you'll go ahead and work up the second leg the same exact way, and then I will meet you back here so that we can do the joining and start working on the body. So I have my legs stuffed. I have to actually stuff this one a little bit more. So you're going to want to have your legs stuffed at this point. You don't want them to be all the way to the top because we're going to continue to work, but you want them to be, you know, stuffed really well, enough so that you have your shape. So there are your legs there. And so now what we are going to do is we are going to start the body. This will technically be round 16. So what you're going to do is get your leg that you haven't cut the yarn on, and you're going to work a chain 2. So 1, 2. So now I want this to join, and it's gonna, when it joins, it's gonna continue working on the back side of the bunny. So just kind of be aware of that. That way, if you did your leg like this, then this would be the front, and that little space would be more noticeable. So I want it to go towards the back. So I'm going to line my legs up, make sure that it's nice and even, and that little spot right there is towards the back. If it gets towards the front, it's okay, you can work with it, but just a little detail to help you out there. And then I'm going to join with a single crochet onto the other leg. This does count as your first stitch. So go ahead and place your stitch marker. So that is your 1 single crochet to join. Now we're going to work 7 single crochets. So 1, and this is that area I'm talking about. You're just going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now you're going to work a single crochet into the chain 2 spaces. So it will be 1. So what I like to do is just get into one of those loops there, and then 2. And now you're going to work 8 single crochets around this other leg. Don't work into this stitch right here. That doesn't count as a stitch. You're going to work into this stitch right here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then you're going to work a single crochet into the last 2 stitches, which are in that chain 2 space. So 1 and 2. And that should give you a total of 20 stitches for round 16. So let me have you get a good look at this if you need any help. So we have our legs, they are joined. This was that chain 2 space. We worked 2 stitches on each side of that. And then we had 8 for each leg. So that should give you a total of 20 single crochets. And then we will work now on rounds 17 through 24. All right, so for the next 8 rounds, rounds 17 through 24 is simply 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So you're going to work your first stitch right there into where you had your stitch marker, place it back there, and then let's continue working all the way till you hit round 24. And I will meet you back here. And as always, stuff as you go. So I'm a few rounds in to the torso area, and I'm just gonna go ahead and give it some more stuffing, really focusing on the little hip area on each side. And I'll turn that and bring that over here. All right, so that's good for now, and we'll continue working. So I have completed up to round 24, and I've stuffed the leg area. Now I want to stuff the torso. just a little bit more. Alrighty, that is good. And now moving on to round 25. This is going to be a decrease round. We're working up into the shoulder neck area. And so what you are going to do for round 25 is 2 single crochets, then a decrease. And you're going to repeat that 5 times. So 1, 2, decrease. 1, 2, decrease. 1, 2, decrease. And just work that all the way around. You're going to have a total of 15 single crochets for round 25. For round 26 will be 1 single crochet and then a decrease 5 times. So 1 single crochet, decrease, and you're going to do that all the way around, and this will leave you with a total of 10 stitches for round 26. So before we move on, ooh, sorry, at the table. Before we move on, we are going to stuff a little bit more. So we're going to create one more decrease round before we move on to the head. And so it will get a little tighter, but it's still manageable. So if you haven't worked in gaps or holes this small, I'm going to go slowly to help you out so that it is just to help you out, basically. So we have our body and it is stuffed, the torso is stuffed. And so now let's move on to round 27. So we are going to work 2 decreases, then a single crochet 2 times, and that's going to give you a total of 6 stitches. So for round 27 will be 2 decreases. So 1 and 2. I like to work these on the tighter end as much as possible, but you want to still be able to work into these stitches, but you want this neck to be tighter. And then work your single crochet. So that was the first set, and then another 2 decreases and a single crochet. So 1, 2, and I have my finger here because I kind of feel like it helps with support. And then it also helps with making sure it's not too tight. And then that last single crochet. So now we have a total of 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 right here. So now we have our neck area. I don't do any stuffing until I've worked the head up a little bit more because it'll be easier to manage how much goes here for support of the head and then also so that you don't overstuff. So now let's go ahead and move on. So for round 28, you're working a single crochet increase into each stitch all the way around. So I'm going to go slower for you. For round 29, we are going to do the same thing. 2 single crochets into each stitch all the way around. Let me put that down. Start with your first one. So that's my first increase. And I want to place my stitch marker, and I'm just going to continue to do 2 single crochets into each stitch all the way around. And that's going to give me a total of 24 stitches for round 29. So for round 30, you are going to work a single crochet and then an increase. You're going to repeat that all the way around. That's a total of 12 times, and you'll have a total of 36 stitches. But I want to kind of slow down here because you can run into skipping stitches easily because there's so many stitches that are packed together by doing 2 rounds of increasing. So make sure that you pull back your increase from the last round right there, and then insert your hook in to that single crochet for the first stitch and work your first single crochet and place your stitch marker. Now you're going to work your increase. So as I go, I like to just kind of push back the stitch I'm working in and then make sure I have the right stitch. So that's 2 single crochets. And then your increase, 1 increase and 2 single crochets, and just repeat that all the way around, and you'll have a total of 36 stitches. But because I've run into this before, I get to the end and I'm not even close. I'm like 33, 34 stitches, and I'm like, where did I go wrong? That probably could be it. Just paying attention to your stitches and counting. So always check your stitches each round. So I'll continue working round 30. I'll meet you back for round 31 to continue. So for rounds 31 through 33, which is 3 rounds, we were simply working 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. Pretty simple. So continue working in the next 3 rounds, which is 31 through 33, 1 single crochet into each stitch for a total of 36 stitches in each, excuse me, each round. Okay, so for round 34, we are going to work a decrease round. So for this round, it's 4 single crochets and then a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, and decrease. And you're going to repeat that all the way around, so it'll be a total of 6 times. That was our first one. And then that's going to give you a total of 30 stitches for the round. For rounds 35 through 39, 5 rounds total, we are working 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. And that's a total of 30 single crochets for each round and 5 rounds total. So go ahead and work those next 5 rounds. I'm going to as well. And then when we meet back, we're going to work on a few things before we continue with the head. That's going to be placing our safety eyes. So you're going to want to have those available. I use 12 millimeter black safety eyes. And then some more stuffing. So I'm going to show you how to stuff the neck and then place our safety eyes. So I will meet you back here at the end of round 39. Okay, so it might be easier for you to stuff before you finish all 5 rounds. So I think I might do that real quick. And then I'll finish up to round 39. So you're going to want to take some of your stuffing. So now we have some gap in between, like right in this area right here. So we're going to stuff that area first. So grab some of your stuffing. And let's get this stuffed up. So you want to have a good amount because you're going to work into this neck area right here, but you don't want to overstuff. So I'm just kind of pushing and turning at the same time because then that kind of distributes that stuffing evenly. And then let me show you here. So it's pretty stuffed. I could tell this side needs a little bit more. So I'm going to do that. All right, so Now, my goal is to be able to add a little bit more stuffing into this neck area, but try to keep it packed above it so that it doesn't overstuff down here, but it's adding support to that neck area, if that makes sense. And I know this might be a little bit hard to see, but I'm just trying to stuff this area without overstuffing the torso, but keeping it firm in that neck area, if that makes sense. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of that stuffing and try to stuff that in right there. So I'm not going to push it all the way down. As you could tell, it's still right in that area. It's not going all the way down, and that's what you want. And then I'm going to stuff on this other side a little bit. And then I'm going to leave it right about there. So what I feel like that does is that it stuffs it without overstuffing, but then it still gives me something to work with when I'm actually stuffing the head to kind of push into. So let's go ahead and continue working our 5 rounds of single crochet, and I will meet you back here at the end of round 39. All right, so I finished up to round 39. And now we are going to place our safety eyes. So we're going to place them between rows 35 and 36, 5 stitches apart. So I have some pins here to help. So basically what I like to do is go up from the neck. This is round 28. So 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So I like to line them up with the legs and then 5 stitches apart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then place the other eye. So you go ahead and place some pins there to kind of help, and then grab your eyes and then go ahead and just remove the pins and place them. So we're going to do that. I'm going to take my pin and move it. I like to just double check. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the next one over, place my eye, and then remove that there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then into that next. So there's 5 stitches in between the eyes, and there they are right there. So you'll go ahead and place your safety, the backing. So our eyes are placed. Put your pins away somewhere safely. Too many accidents I've had. And then we're going to go ahead and stuff a little bit. So like I said, I had some stuffing in here. Now I'm just going to take a little bit more stuffing, and I'm going to focus on stuffing around in this little cheek and jaw area and get some of that going. So we don't want to stuff too much. We'll do a big bulk of our stuffing once we are almost done with the head. That kind of helps keep everything in place. So there's that. Now we are going to move on. Around 40, it is 3 single crochets and then a decrease. You repeat that 6 times all the way around, and you'll have 24 stitches at the end of the round. So 1, 2, 3, and then decrease. And you'll just keep repeating that. So for round 41 is another decrease round. The pattern repeat is 2 single crochets and a decrease 6 times all the way around, and that's going to leave you with a total of 18 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease, and just keep going. So for round 41, it's going to be a single crochet and then a decrease. So 1 single crochet, decrease. That's the pattern repeat, and you're going to repeat that all the way around, and that's going to leave you with a total of 12 stitches for round 42. And so After we get done with this round, we are going to stuff the head. So 1 single crochet and decrease. So I have 12 stitches remaining. And now let's go ahead and pull this string so that we can get this out of the way while we stuff. So for stuffing, what I like to do is I'm gonna make sure I'm stuffing this part where like the cheeks are first. And so I'm gonna push some of that stuffing in towards the bottom, making sure I hold this yarn so it doesn't get pushed in there. And then as I'm pushing, I'm going to rotate so that the stuffing is moving around the head. And then making sure that it's nice and stuffed. If these eyes get moved down a little bit, that's totally okay. We could fix that. And then grab some more stuffing. You can even take like your yarn and push it into your stitch marker. That kind of helps keep it out of the way as well. And so continue rotating and stuffing your head. Let's move that out of the way. And there we go. We have our eyes. And then for this last bit right here, I'm going to wait till I've done the last round and then finish stuffing. So I have my tapestry needle here. And then let's go ahead and basically what I like to do is I take my tapestry needle and it's like as if I was doing a decrease over these. So I'm just going into that front loop and wrapping it around. So I'll just pull through, go through the next two, front loop only, and wrap around. Go through the next two, front loop only, wrap around. And so at this point, I'm just pretty much just gonna pull tight and that's gonna close it on up. Now it's not perfect as if we were like starting the head going down to the feet, but once we place the ears, honestly, it's not going to be that noticeable. So I'm just going to weave my tail in, just kind of back and forth, not pulling too tightly either way, making sure I insert through the same place that I came through. That way I'm not pulling the head, because if I went over a stitch, then it would pull down on the head. But just kind of weaving that in and out. And then we could cut that off. And so now we have the body completely done. And all we have left to do is make our arms, make our ears, and then attach them, and then go ahead and stitch on our little nose. So we are going to work on the arms now. It's pretty simple, straightforward. First, we're going to start out with 7, not 6, 7 this time, single crochets into a magic circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then go ahead and pull tight. So that is round 1. And then for rounds 2 through 12, we're simply working 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So I will work my first stitch, and then I'm grabbing my stitch marker, and then just continuing with 1 single crochet all the way around. And that's a total of 7 stitches. And we're just going to continue to work that up. After I finish the second round, I'm going to tighten up on the tail end of it and then tie about 2 knots. So I like to push as I'm pulling. So I tie that knot, I'm pulling over, putting my finger down and pushing. That kind of helps get it nice and tight there. Cut off a little bit of that yarn, and then push in so that I'm continuing to work with the wrong side on the inside, right side on the out. So just keep working 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. And then I will meet you back here at the end of round 12. Okay, so I have completed round 12. And now what we're going to do is we're going to close the arm. You're not going to stuff either of the arms. You're going to do the same thing for both arms. No stuffing. And what we're going to do here is we can remove our stitch marker. You could call this 13, so it's not like a round or anything, but in the pattern it's stated as 13. So you're going to pinch this closed, and we're going to work single crochets over both of these sides. So we're going to work 2 of them. So we're just going to basically, I don't want to go into this first one. I'm going to go right here, kind of like in the middle. I'm going to push my hook through both sides. I'm going to grab my yarn and pull up, and then yarn over and pull through. And so we're just going to do that one more time, pushing through both sides, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. And so that's kind of close these arms shut, and then it'll allow for the arms to be a bit more flatter when we stitch them to the body. So you're going to want to make 2 of those like this, and we will basically use these to sew on our arms. So that is both of them right there. So let's move on to the ears. We're going to make 2 of these as well. To start, we are going to work into a magic circle again, but for this we're going to start with 6. So 6 single crochets into a magic circle. 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull that tight. So for round 2, we are working 6 single crochets. That's simply 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. It might be a little bit more tedious to work into these stitches, but once you get the first or second one, it gets a little bit easier. So that's a total of 6 stitches for round 2. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to tighten up this end and get this out of the way. So 1 and 2, I like to do twice, make it nice and tight. Okay, and leave just a little bit of a tail. It's going to go inside the ear anyway. So I'm going to turn that in on itself. It's a little bit easier to work. So for round 3, it is 1 single crochet and then an increase. So 1 single crochet, increase. And you'll repeat that all the way around. 1 single crochet and increase. I am out of frame, I'm so sorry. Increase. And this is going to leave you with a total of 9 stitches. 1 single crochet and increase. Okay, so that's round 3. Round 4 will be 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. And that will give you a total of 9 single crochets. So we're basically working a round of increase, then a round of single crochet in that increased number. So for round 4, it was simply 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around for 9 stitches. Moving on to round 5, we are going to work 2 single crochets, then an increase. So 1, 2, we will move our stitch marker up and then work our increase. And then 1, 2, increase. And then 1, 2, and increase. And that's going to give us 12 stitches total. then for round 6, it will be 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around for a total of 12 stitches. So now we are moving on to round 7, and this will be our last increase round. It'll be 3 single crochets and then increase. So 1, 2, and 3, and then work your increase. And then you'll repeat that all the way around, and that's going to give you a total of 15 single crochets for the round. Okay, so we've worked all of our increases, and we see the ears coming together nice. And now we're going to work 5 rounds of single crochets. So it's going to be from round 8 to 12, simply 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around for a total of 15 single crochets into each stitch. And then again, that's a total of 5 rounds. So I'm going to work the next 5 rounds, and I will meet you back here to start round 13. So I finished up round 12. So for round 13, we are going to do 1 decrease round. So it will be 3 single crochets, then a single crochet decrease. So that's 1, move my stitch marker up, 2, 3, and then work a decrease. And you'll repeat that all the way around, 3 single crochets, and then a decrease. And that's going to leave you with a total of 12 stitches. All right, so we are almost done with the ear. So now what we're going to do is we're going to line this up evenly and make this flat like this. So we're going to pinch it close so that it's nice and flat. And we're going to single crochet over both stitches like we did with the arm. So to do that, I'm going to take my hook and insert it through this front stitch and through the back stitch as well. So I've grabbed both. I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through a loop. So it's basically just a single crochet, and we're going to do that over again 4 more times. So it's going to be a total of 5 stitches. So that was 1, 2, 3, and again I'm going through both sides so it's closing it, 4, and 5. So now that's nice and flat and closed. Then what I like to do is I don't do a slip stitch. I basically just cut the yarn, and you want to cut at least 12 inches because we're going to stitch the ear together to fold it a little bit and then stitch it onto the head. So you want a good amount to do that. So there is one of the ears. Go ahead and make another one, and I will meet you back here for assembly. All right, so we are to assembly. You have made your body, and then we have our arms right here and our ears. So to start, let's go ahead and do the nose first. So what I like to do, I'm going to grab my yarn. I am using, this is Rosy Cheeks by Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. So I have about like 18 inches or so of that. So what I like to do, for reference, this is what we have going on here. I'm going to go where the eyes are and down a row. We're going to count over 1, 2, and then insert into the third, and then go over about 2 stitches. So let's do that. So we're 1, 2, and 3, and grab 2 stitches up like that and pull through. And we're going to wrap this about 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And so at this point, what I like to do is I'm going to insert the needle back around as if I was going to pull through to wrap around again, But instead of wrapping around, I'm going to go down about 1, 2, 3 rows and insert my needle, actually about 2 rows. So 1, 2, and then right under that through the what looks like to be the middle right there. So pull that through nice and slow. And then we're going to take, so now that you could see that, we're going to take our needle and push it back so that it inserts under that nose. And just kind of have it pop up through the top somewhere and pull it like that. And there we are. So let's weave in these ends. So what I like to do is insert my needle back through where I came out of. That way we don't have any snags. And just kind of pull through just a few times, like so. And then we'll cut that off. And then for this one, I like to take my tapestry needle, insert it through towards the back, and then pull like that, just a little tight. You don't want to pull super tight, and just kind of weave the yarn through the head just a few times as well, but making sure that you don't pull on the head or so that it doesn't have any snags or anything and it maintains its shape. Then go ahead and cut that off. So now we have the little nose set to go. Now let's go ahead and do the arms. So what I like to do is I'll take one of the arms, grab my tapestry needle, and then I'll weave in or insert the tail end through. Then I'm going to take the doll and I'm going to line the arm up with the leg like this. And I'm going to have the arm come about 2 rows down from where the neck is. So I will go 1, 2, and then insert my hook. Sorry, I probably keep saying hook. If I do, I'm sorry. Hopefully you know I'm saying needle. So I'm going to insert my needle and I'm going to skip about 2 stitches and bring it up and pull through, and then grab this side of the arm with my needle and still hold that in place and pull, and then take my needle and push it back into the body like that. And then as I do that, it should pull that nice and tight. So at this point, I want to bring the needle back up and grab onto that arm right there, just a little bit, as you could see there, and then bring it back down into the body and then pull. And then now the last 2 things I want to do is I want to come back towards the front and then I was going to say snatch, but grab onto maybe about a loop or 2 if you can from that front part of the arm, and then bring that back through the body. So we want this to get a little bit tighter right there. See? And then we'll do the same thing on the back part right here. So grab on to right there, bring that back through. And if this is all too confusing as I'm trying to explain what I like do every single time I sew the arms on, do what works good for you, just as long as the arm is on there evenly and isn't going to go anywhere. You don't want it to, like, you know, first time it's held, the arm is falling off, you know. So we have one arm on, and then let's do the other arm. And I'm just going to pretty much do the same thing on this side. So line up with the body and then go through 2 stitches. And then back that way, come back down. And then last part is over here. All right, so we have our arms on. Let's go ahead and do the ears. So grab one of your ears and get your tapestry needle. And so I'm going to move our bunny out of the way for a minute. And then what I like to do is fold the ear in half like this and pinch that together right there. And then we're going to stitch over this. So you're going to insert your needle and kind of do like a whip stitch over here. So 1, 2, and 3. And then what we want to do is we want to stitch this bottom piece together down so it kind of holds like that. So at this point I'll insert my needle up through to about right here. So I only want just about an inch or so stitched down. So I'm just going to bring that through each side, just kind of going back and forth like this, just a few times to kind of get this a little bit more secure. You can even take some hot glue and glue it, but I wanted to just kind of stitch it. So as you can see, it is stitched like that now. And then I'm going to bring my needle back through down to this corner so that we can stitch it on to the head. So repeat that for this one. So if you want, you could definitely place them where you would like them and pin them down and stitch them. I have a hard time doing that. So what I'm going to do is hold them in place to where I line them up with the eyes and the side of the head, and then they usually do pretty good. So if you could see this completed version right here, you see that they are lined up with the eyes and they are about 2 rounds over from the center. So that is what I base my placement off of. So as long as they are lined up with the eyes, it usually works out pretty well. So I'm going to go over, so 1, 2, and I'm going to place this right here. And I'm going to start stitching one side down. So I'll go through just kind of like one loop on one side and then bring my needle through and just kind of push it through onto the other side to tighten that down. Then I flip the ear down and I'm going to come back around and stitch these loops down on this side. So I'm going to insert into right here and grab one loop and tighten that up. Same thing, just kind of go through here, grab a loop, tighten that up, go through here and grab this back loop and then tighten that down. Okay, and so before, I still want to tighten right here down a little bit, but I want to place the other ear first to make sure I have good placement, because right now we could pull out any stitches if we need to. So I'm going to grab this ear. I'm going to do the same process. I am going to hold the ear down, make sure I go over about 1, 2 stitches and place that and start stitching it onto right here. If I have any loops like that, I'll just kind of grab it and then push through and then do the same thing on this side. Grab a loop, stitch down, grab grab a loop. Stitch down. And grab another loop. Stitch down. And then I'm going to push back to bring it down in the back like that. So I feel like the placement is pretty good right there. I want to stitch these front parts down. I'm going to take a step back because sometimes when I'm looking through my camera, it's hard to see if the placement is good. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I want to stitch this part down a little bit. So I'll show you how to do that and just make sure they're pretty secure. So to do so, I'm going to grab my tapestry needle, bring this yarn. It doesn't matter which one it is from because they're all going to get used anyway. So I'm going to go through front loop part right there and through the other side, pull that down, and then push this back into the head towards the back. So then that way when I pull, it's going to bring that down. And then I'm going to kind of secure it on this side as well. So I'll grab right here and pull that down back to here, and that kind of like secures that down a little bit. And then we'll just finish that off with this back part. So go up into here. Some of these get a little loose. And then we'll grab this part right here and push it down to tighten that up. Boom. See? Nice and tight. So what's cool too is if you wanted to add flowers, you could do so. You could do a flower crown. You could do a bow tie. You just do one flower. You could add some blush. You could add some eyelashes. There's so much we could do with this. If you guys would like, let me know, and I could add an overalls pattern with a little pouch. I can add a dress. So those are definitely some things that I could do if you guys are interested in it. This side is pretty good. I just kind of want to secure it down just a little bit more. So I'm just going to go through and do that. And then as well as the back. So just pull that through and kind of pull through a loop right here. And then push that down. Okay. So there we go. There are the ears. And I am stitching that just through back and forth like such, making sure that I didn't have any of the head that got pushed through, kind of making it even. If you have a spot that's like pushed in, it's easy to just take your tapestry needle and kind of just go through and smooth it or poke that back out. But that is it, you guys. I'm going to bring the camera up so that we can have a little bit wider of an angle. We are all finished, you guys. I can't even fit the whole bunny in the frame, but just so you know, the bunny does measure a foot. Oh, if I go to the side, we can see it there. But if you see here, we have literally just shy of 12 inches. So this is a pretty good sized bunny. It works up relatively quickly once you get the hang of things, especially if you like work up all the arms, ears, and legs and then assemble. You're gonna bust these out pretty quickly, and it is so versatile. You could work with a boy bunny, you could work with a girl bunny, you could add flowers, you can add bow ties, we could do dresses, we can do little jumpers, overalls, so many cute fun things. So please leave a comment below. Let me know what you would like to see accessory wise for this bunny. It's pretty basic too. If you take the ears off, we could do a lot of things with that as well. Please, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also hit the notification bell. That way you could be notified anytime I come out with a new video. And if you haven't, please feel free to go to the description box where you could purchase this written pattern through my Etsy shop. It is such a blessing. If you would like to support me that way as well. And that is about it. And as always, I look forward to crocheting with you guys again next time.